What do you do when your child's television best friend soon becomes your worst nightmare? This is the reality for millions of people every single day, because too many times of watching the same thing over and over again is likely to drive even the most well-intentioned parents insane. But when television can become your child's babysitter, things are likely to go wrong. And that's what happens in this new Hulu original entitled Mr.Crocket. It's based on a short film that was a part of their bite-sized Halloween series, and it was written and directed by Brandon Epsey, and it stars Elvis Nalesko and Jerrica Hinton. So let's talk about this new movie, my thoughts on it, and whether or not you should check it out. Hi, I'm Quana, your hopefully old-time friend or new best friend, depending on how you want to look at things. And I'm here to talk about movies, and it is spooky season, so I have been neck high in the horror movies this month. And at the end of the month, I will bring you my picks for my 31 Days of Horror Challenge that I've been doing. This was created by the Nightmare on Film Street crew. They're over on Instagram and on TikTok. And I've been posting these to my TikTok, but I will bring you guys the full list at the end of the month. It's been getting pretty good. I'll probably drop a link into the community post of the ones that I've done so far, so that if you're looking for something to watch, you'll have some good recommendations there. So if you're not already a member of the community over here, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can get that list and you can be well up to date on what you should be checking out this spooky season. But without further ado, let's talk about Mr. Crocket. All right, so like I said, Mr. Crocket is a new Hulu original horror movie. It was just released, and it is based on a short film that was a part of their bite-sized Halloween series. In fact, I think it was one of the latter episodes of their season 3. It was really well done short film, and they decided to lengthen it out to a full-length movie. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, without giving too many spoilers, of why that works and why that doesn't work, and whether you should check out Mr. Crocket. As I said, Mr. Crocket stars Elvis Nalesko and Jerrica Hinton. Now, I can't promise that you'll recognize Elvis Nalesko, but you will probably recognize Jerrica Hinton because she was a part of one of the biggest television shows in history. She played Dr. Stephanie Edwards on ABC's Grey's Anatomy. You might remember Dr. Edwards because she was the love interest of Jackson Avery at one point, and my girl was done dirty on that show. But I will say it was a sigh of relief when I saw her here, because she definitely has some acting chops, and I think it was very necessary to have a good actress in this role, because there are some moments where things could have gotten really bad, and she helped ground things a lot. So this is all about a young mom named Summer. Her husband recently dies, and she is tasked with, of course, raising her son all by herself. Her son is very hyperactive and difficult to control, and as any child would be, probably enduring a lot of trauma around the death of his father. When she discovers the mysterious tape of Mr. Crocket's World and puts it on, he is instantly mesmerized, and she is excited to just have a moment of relief, because her child has finally calmed the you-know-what down. However, things soon turn a little bit twisted when he gets a little too engrossed in Mr. Crocket, and we soon learn that Mr. Crocket's attachment to her son Major isn't just through the screen, it's in the screen. Yeah, this movie has a great premise, and I will say that the cold open of this movie was very well done, with some really good kills, very creative and inventive kills. There's a lot of puppetry work as well in this, which I think fits the theme a lot. And the character of Mr. Crocket, I think, is definitely one that can be an interesting character and perhaps spawn a franchise. I don't know that he will be as big as Art the Clown from the Terrifier series, and I don't think he'll be as legendary as Freddy Krueger. He might not even get to be as big as Red from Us. But I do think he has a lot of potential if they work out some of the kinks behind the mystery and the gore and the evil of this entity and the world building that it brings to the table. There are some really great things about this movie. Like I said, the kills are all very creative. Very, very creative, and a couple of kills that I've never seen done before, that really play up with the idea of this person who is supposed to be like a demented Mr. Rogers, and they work really well with what he brings into this world. I think one of the problems is that we don't play, or we don't spend as much time with him in the actual television set world that he creates. And so we don't see an attachment to the methods of those kills that crosses over into the world that lives on the tape. And I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. I thought that Jerrica Hinton did a great job as a mom in this, and the mom Summer to her very rambunctious, very overactive son Major, who definitely needed we're trying to be enlightened, gentle parenting over here, but this was 1995. He definitely should have probably got a spanking, but also therapy. Therapy is important for kids whose parents just pass away. That was probably something that should have happened. And like anything, it didn't. And so here we are with this strange fixation and attachment to Mr. Crocket. Mr. Crocket has some friends in his world, not just the children who play with him and who entered into his world, but he has some puppet friends. I know one of them's names is Boogaloo Blue. And I definitely was thinking of Breaking and Electric Boogaloo when I heard his name. But we don't get to spend a lot of time with those creatures, and they don't ever enter into our world. And so if there is a spinoff of this, I definitely would like to see that. The children actors for this movie, they did a fairly competent job. Like I said, I think the biggest thing, the kills were very creative. Mr. Crocket is certainly a menacing character. There are some moments when he appears and it's very eerie and very suspenseful, and so he plays that part very well. But there are also some moments when he comes into our world that feel very cartoonish and not in a good way. And I think if they had built the suspense up a little bit more around his emergence, and maybe if we had even not seen some of the kills that he commits, at least early into the movie or a little bit later, it would have created more suspense. We have the cold open. I was completely fine with that cold open. I think that sets up the premise. It introduces us to his character, and then we wait for him to show up for this woman and her son a little bit later, and we're waiting on that. The problem is that he comes back a little too soon and a little too all in his full power, and we don't get the continuation of that suspense as much. But I really enjoyed it. It was not too heavy of a watch. It definitely felt like a really good horror comedy. I definitely think that this is a character who I would like to see get a sequel so that we can delve into his world a little bit more. It's very creative. It's very inventive. And I'm always open for an opportunity to get more Black characters, villains, and final girls in the horror community, because we don't have enough of that. So I definitely think that you should check out Mr. Crocket. I definitely don't think it'll feel like a fun night. If you're someone who doesn't like horror, but you are kind of like me, really interested in horror comedy, I definitely think that you'll enjoy it. There's some good writing. There's actually dialogue in this movie. A lot of times horror comedy doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and there's literally probably a script that probably was like 10 pages long total. It felt like this was a little bit more going on with the script, and so I can really appreciate that. And I think that hopefully we'll see more of Mr. Crocket in the future. But do me a favor, if you've already seen the movie, jump down in the comments, let me know what you thought about it. And if you haven't and you decide to give it a watch, come back and watch the video again and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Was it a good recommendation or not? I hope I don't steer you wrong. Like as always, you can follow me on Instagram, on Letterboxd, and on TikTok for more frequent posts, because it's a little harder for me to post long form all the time because there's so much editing involved in it. But you can always follow me on TikTok and on Insta for more up-to-date posts on what I'm watching and what you should be watching as well. Thanks guys so much for watching this video. If you will take a moment and click on one of the videos over here or over here, over here. There's a video that if you enjoyed this one, I think you will like. There's probably another horror recommendation right around there. And there is probably a television show somewhere around one of these parts. And I'll see you guys next time.